everyone, Kate back for the next video in my 5 years of favorites series. And this video will include modern classics and Victorian classics. I didn't organize them or separate them that way, so it'll be kind of a hodgepodge. And the first is My Family and Other Animals by Gerald Durrell. This is funny and it's a sparkling book. That's the category I would put it in. And you're following this family, which you would not want to be a part of in real life because they all have kind of this artistic temperament. They're all very self-absorbed, but it makes for really great entertainment if you are reading the book. I really enjoy that aspect of kind of this crazy dynamic between the family, and they're living in Corfu. So it's a really interesting setting that not a lot of books are set there. And just to see all of the interesting countercultural or culture shock that happens within this, that will happen anytime someone is living in a place they are unfamiliar with. It makes for fascinating reading. And then Kristin Lavransdatter, the Trilogy by Sigrid Undset. This book is it's like a fiery burst of a book. I could not believe how gripped I was as I read it. There's an incredibly great amount of sad things that happen in this. It is tragedy after tragedy for Kristin, but this setting and the beautiful imagery that it was just rich in, and the language is just so evocative of what is happening around Kristin, and seeing her make all of these decisions that you're kind of face palming about, but you do still sympathize with her in the end. And it's a remarkable series. And I think it won the Pulitzer Prize. I think that's the big prize that it won. And then Elizabeth Goudge's Eliot family trilogy. This to me is definitely in the light academia category, where people love to savor the little joys in life. And they're in this idyllic location of Damrocher and kind of reevaluating all the choices that they want to make. It's very introspective while being in this idyllic location, when not all of the aspects of their life are idyllic, but it's healing to the soul, this beautiful location. And I love that about it. And beauty is a big component of this story. Then two Nevil Shute books. First is the Pied Piper, which Nevil Shute writes just solid adventure stories. They aren't going to be these lyrical kind of masterpieces, but it, as people say, it does what it says on the tin. And it's just, if you want to see someone going on this kind of quest, but it's a very real world, Nevil Shute is your guy. And our main character, he ends up, through a set of circumstances, he is in charge of taking these children from occupied France back to England. And it's his journey to try to get them safely there. And he takes his responsibility very seriously. And then A Town Like Alice is definitely my favorite Nevil Shute. It is this grand, sweeping, epic love story, but it is not this, if love stories aren't your typical thing, this is really a no-nonsense love story. And about this couple that is, they meet and it's just electric, this connection that they have. And then they are separated immediately. And so kind of the journey to try to find each other again, and you are just on the edge of your seat. And then I love it has kind of three different parts to the story, after the war, then looking back on, after the war, looking back on during the war, what happened, and then the section after the war, like after you've learned all the events, then you see the repercussions of that. I didn't explain that very well, but I promise it's a great book. Then Sylvias Lovers by Elizabeth Gaskell. This to me has the same kind of rich imagery that Kristin Lavransdatter is. If you want like a moody, atmospheric book, this was kind of Elizabeth Gaskell's attempt at a gothic novel, and this is her finest nature writing in this book. I know this is a very kind of Marmite Elizabeth Gaskell. I fall into the love it category because, she could write the phone book and I would love it. And I think it's just the beautiful imagery really does it for me. Sylvia is not, one of her strongest characters, but the writing in it is just so gorgeous. And I love the high drama of the story. And several Victorian ones, Dombey and Son by Charles Dickens, a really warm, engaging Dickens with unique characters that very much tug on your heartstrings, and a really interesting villain, very fascinating female characters, a lot of humor as always with Dickens. It's just a really endearing book. And then Lorna Dune, which is a great adventure story. The character of Lorna, she's not that fleshed out. I always want to caution people before they read it. Don't expect her to be the most amazing character. She's kind of this idyllic, like angelic female, but I love so much else about the story, and that is why it is a favorite. And then Cider with Rosie, a modern classic that I think for people who love The Enchanted April or A Room with a View, this is definitely a book that you should try. It's got a lot of charming pastoral scenes with funny things that happen, with people interacting with nature and taking in the beauty of the nature. And it's just little snippets from small town life. But I always say when I talk about it, the last chapter has some really disturbing things that do not match up with the rest of the book. So you should know that going in. Even maybe, honestly, skip the last chapter. I don't know. I just kind of think you might want to think about it. Okay, then an unusual pick for me, but I loved this when I read it, and that is As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. This is extremely minimalist in the amount of detail that you are given. It is very stream of conscience, whereas Virginia Woolf is stream of conscience, and I don't like it because I think it's pretentious, and Virginia Woolf and I do not get on. She said T.S. Eliot, it would have been better that he had died than convert to Christianity. So I have some beef with Virginia Woolf. Anyhow, As I Lay Dying has that sparse stream of consciousness, but it is so powerful. And I mean, there are grotesque things happening in it, but it made me feel so deeply and feel that I was there while it was happening. And there's one scene in particular where you're watching this turn of events happen and you're seeing it from a couple characters' point of view, and it's so powerful. You feel that you are there second by second as everything is happening, and I still remember it very vividly. I would like to read more Faulkner. I did like The Light in August. I tried and failed with The Sound and the Fury. Hopefully someday I will read some more by him. It's just not really my aesthetic that I've been wanting lately, but amazing, amazing book. Then The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. I get so excited whenever I talk about this book because I think people look at the length, and this book did not feel long. You know how you love a book, if you love the writing style and you think it's interesting, it doesn't feel long to you. And I'm not like trying to trick people, there's no trickery about this. If you like, if you read the first couple chapters and you're enjoying the writing style and you're interested and invested in what's happening, you will love this book. It is edge of your seat, so many interesting characters. Count Fosco is such an iconic Victorian character. You might not hear about him, as much as like Bill Sikes from Oliver Twist, but he is memorable and he deserves to be, in memorable Victorian villains because he also has some nuance to him. And then Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I will be reading this with my patrons for our August-September pick, and I am excited to pick this book up again because it is pulpy. It has so much happening in it. It is written beautifully because it's Victorian language, and I love the language that is in Victorian novels, and Lady Audley is one fascinating character. Then we have The Moonstone, another Wilkie Collins. I know, I feel like The Moonstone gets a bit overshadowed by The Woman in White, and The Woman in White has a more grandiose plot, but there's something really charming and endearing about The Moonstone. I love that you're hearing about this event where a moonstone goes missing at a party one night, and you're hearing from all of these different characters kind of their take on the events that happened and also the events that are happening up to a year later. And the conclusion is astounding. I did not see it coming, and I love The Moonstone. Then A Welsh Witch by Alan Raine. This is just a great, great Victorian novel. It's 1902, but I still count it because she would have written it in 1901, right? The rich atmosphere and, the rich language in Kristin Lavransdatter and what was the other one? And Sylvia's Lovers is here. It's a small insular town, and it has this claustrophobic type feel. And seeing these characters through the eyes of how the small town views them and what gossip can do. There is a love triangle or even love square, and it just has a beautiful ending. I love a Welsh witch. Then another Victorian one, Far from the Batting Crowd. This is, I think my favorite Thomas Hardy, and I don't actually love the character of Bathsheba, but I love the language. It's an interesting plot. It just hooks you, and you want to know what is going to happen. You want to know what is going to happen. And next on the list is Mrs. Arris Goes to Paris. This is another book in the sparkling category. The character of Mrs. Arris is so charming, and you just really root for her in this. And this dream that she has is, when you think about the things that people want out of life, I feel like one Dior dress when you've worked for, 40 plus years as a charmaid is a pretty small dream. And so you just really want it to happen for her. She sees a Dior dress that one of her clients owns, and she just knows that is what she is going to work for 5 years. She scrimps and saves, and you want her happy ending to happen for her. Then The Blue Castle by Ellen Montgomery. This book, I think it starts out a little bit slow, and then once it happens, once it kicks off, it is glorious, glorious, glorious. You are just soaking in all of the rich language, and you love it so much for that. I'm going to stop here and do a part 2 for Modern Classics and Victorian Classics. I hope you are enjoying this series, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye.